Hello and welcome to my channel. Due to extremely popular demand, I'm back with my latest creeper farm, but this time with a full-blown tutorial. This tutorial will include the simple design that I showcased in my previous video, along with an advanced version at the end, using a different water layout and a cutting-edge Trident Killer by Mike Homer that blows all the concurrents out of the water. The yields for the simple version are around 46 stacks of gunpowder, or if you prefer, nearly 2950 gunpowder items per hour in an ice spikes or frozen ocean biome, and for the advanced version they are about 48 stacks, putting us well over the 3000 gunpowder per hour threshold. Without further ado, let's dive in. The first thing we'll do is of course pick up a suitable location. As mentioned earlier, the best biomes for creeper farms are ice spikes or frozen oceans, because skeletons don't spawn in the cave density there, leaving more room free for creepers. Here seems like a perfect place to build our farm. The second thing we'll do is to check elevation. We will need to have at least 6 blocks of clearance between the lowest point of our farm and the highest point of terrain. So be careful about that. Alternatively, you can decide to build very high up in the sky and not worry about clearance. Just know that you will need a total of 51 blocks in height in order to fit the entirety of the farm, so don't build too close to build limit either. Let's mark our lowest point here with a block. This pink stained glass will be our farm's lowest point. Let's verify that there is no higher point than this here in the vicinity, and it doesn't seem so, so it should be fine. Now let's start building the farm itself. We need to go exactly 50 blocks above our lowest point here, which is at Y level equals 88, so we need to go at Y equals 138. Here we will build a temporary narrow glass roof. So let me place the first block of the roof here. The aim of this glass roof is to prevent our water source blocks from turning into ice. For the simple version of this farm, this glass roof only needs to be 1 wide and must draw the outline of a 17 by 17 square, like so. Once we have our glass roof done, we can move on and build our first spawning platform. This spawning platform will be exactly 17 by 17 and must match the outline drawn by the glass roof up here. So the glass roof extends in this direction and this direction, here and here. For our platform, we will need 2 types of blocks. One solid block of your choice, here we'll use concrete, and plain ice. The reason for ice is that it prevents mobs from pathfinding onto itself and forces them back into the water streams in the event they should get bumped and wander out of their course. Those blocks will be placed in a pattern that will seem a bit convoluted at first, but you will see it is not that complex and makes a lot of sense. So let's place our first line. It must start on the 6th block above the lowest point marked here. So 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Here, on this block here, we will start our line. The first block will be a block of ice. Then next to it, we'll place a block of concrete. then another block of ice, then another block of concrete, etc., etc., until we reach the last block of our 17 blocks line, which should be ice. Like so. Now let's go back to our first ice block and place a second block right next to it. Second block of ice. Now let's go to the next block and again place a second block of ice next to it. Then let's go to the third block of ice and place this time 3 more blocks, making a total of 4. Then on to the next one, we place 5 more blocks, making a total of 6. Then on the next ice block we place 7 more, making a total of 8, like so. Then on the next ice block we go back to placing 5 blocks more for a total of 6. Then a total of 4, then 2, and again 2. And what we should have is this sort of triangle made up of even numbered ice block lines. 2, 2, 4, 6, 8, 6, 4, 2, 2. Now that we have this, let's go back to our first 2 ice blocks. And next to them, let's place a concrete block. Then next to it, let's place another ice block. And then concrete, and then ice, and again we make a 17 long line. Once you reach the 15th block of your line, place 2 ice blocks next to it. So this is block number 15, which is concrete. Then we need 2 blocks of ice. Now let's go back to the beginning of our line and add more ice next to block number 4, which is this one. We'll add 2 more ice blocks for a total of 3. The next block will add 4 more ice blocks for a total of 5. Then 6 more ice blocks for a total of 7. Then again 6 blocks for a total of 7. Then a total of 5. Then a total of 3. And again we should have a second triangle made up this time of odd numbered ice lines, which are 3, 5, 7, 7, 5 and 3 blocks long each. So again on this side here we have even numbered lines, ice block lines, 2, 2, 4, 6, 8, 6, 4, 2, 2. And on this side here we have odd numbered ice lines, which are 3, 5, 7, 7, 5 and 3. Now let's go to this block here at the end of our line. And here what we're going to do is we're going to mirror the even numbered ice lines from this side onto this side. So we need to have 2, 2, concrete, 4, concrete, 6, concrete, 8, concrete, 6, concrete, 4, concrete, 2, concrete, and 2. And now here on this side we will mirror the odd numbered lines. And this is the result you should have. Now you can go ahead and fill up all the rest of the platform with concrete, save for this block in the middle here that will leave free. And this should be the result. Once this is done, we can move on to the next step, which will be the buttons and fence posts. For this part, we will need to find north. The easiest way to do this is with a pumpkin. Don't use a lit pumpkin because it would melt your ice. Use a regular pumpkin. The stem of the pumpkin points to northwest. So this is north and this is west. So let's keep a pumpkin close to our position so that we can always check back to verify that we're placing our blocks in the right direction. And let's go back to the point of our platform that is at the lowest position on the southwest corner. So this block here, this ice block here, the lowest point southwest. Now let's take a fence post like this one, for example. Move forward one block, and to your left here outside of the farm, on this level here, place one fence post. Then move forward 2 blocks and place a second fence post. Now let's move forward 2 blocks and place another fence post, etc., etc., until we reach the end of the line, like so. And to our left, which is the west side, west is here, we should have no fence post here. Now to our front, we will place another fence post outside of the perimeter of the spawning platform, like we did for these fence posts on the western side. So let's complete the northern side with more fence posts until we reach the end of our platform. And this time in front of us we should have a fence post. And that's it for fence posts on this layer. Now let's go back to our lowest southwest point here. And now we'll place our buttons. So to place the buttons is very easy. We'll make a waffle pattern beginning 1 block to the front and 1 block to the right of this point, of the lowest southwest point. So here, 1 button. Then skip 1 block, place another button. Skip 1 block, place another button. Skip 1 block, place another button, etc. until you reach the end of the line here. Now, from this button, count 1, skip it, and place another button. Then skip 1 block, place another button. Skip 1 block, place another button. Skip 1 block, place another button. What we're going to do is place our buttons in this waffle pattern all over the entirety of the surface of the platform. So let's do it now. And normally this should be the result. Now we are going to take Sculk vein or scaffolding and fill in all the concrete that is not already filled in with a button. So this point here, these points here, this point here, these points here, 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 etc. all over the platform. Once you have covered all the exposed concrete with Sculk vein or scaffolding, you can move on to the next step, which is the water streams and trapdoors. Our water streams and trapdoors must be placed 2 blocks above the spawning platform. So, at this level here. For our water streams, the first thing in order is to place yet another set of fence posts. What we're gonna do is place a fence post at the beginning of each and every single concrete line. So first we'll start here, on this level, and on this level again we'll place another fence post here, then here, here, etc., etc., until we have covered the entirety of the spawning platform. These fence posts will prevent the water from spilling outside of the farm. Once this is done, we now have to place our trapdoors. The trapdoors go above the ice lines. So let's take a trapdoor. They go above the ice lines here and must be in the high position. This is to prevent other mobs from spawning but creepers. So over every single ice lane on this level, on the same level as your water blocking fence posts, place trapdoors. And this should be your result. Once you have placed your trapdoors, it is finally time to place our water source blocks, which will go between the trapdoors above the first concrete block of each concrete line. And this is the result you should have. If everything went well, you should now have a series of water streams that all converge towards the central hole of your platform. This design was first explored by Plushie and elegantly brings our creepers to one single point where we can make them drop into a Trident Killer, which incidentally will be our next step. For this video, I actually decided to change the TK slightly since the version I showcased in my previous video. The design used here makes it a lot easier to rethrow the tridents, which is always a welcome feature when playing on realms and servers. Here is how it is built. Straight underneath the drop chute, 6 blocks underneath the level of your spawning platform, place 1 block of magma. Here you have your first level 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and on the 6th block here place magma. Now we can remove these. Now face towards the direction where your AFK will be. This direction is entirely up to you, but it is important to know what direction it is, so keep a mental note of it. Here we will have our AFK to the south. So we must be facing south. Now let's stand on our magma block, and from this magma block to the left, to the right, and on the front we need to place 3 solid blocks. This is where the creepers will get killed. Now next to these blocks, what we need to place down is a block of packed ice, like so, with a button on top of it. Now encase all this with the block of your choice. Here we're going to use glass because we want to see what happens inside, but in your survival world you could use something cheaper like a solid block. Here. And break the blocks immediately after the packed ice. Now we can bring that up a second layer, like so, and immediately above the buttons on top of our 3 packed ices we need to place temporary blocks. So here we'll use glass again, but you could use any block that you want. And on top of these blocks, of these temporary blocks, we'll place trapdoors with the hinge either on the south side or on the east side. And this is very important because otherwise your trapdoors will not work after one relog. So here we're going to place the hinge towards south, like so. It is also very important that your hinge is not facing towards the magma block like this. Your TK wouldn't work. So it must either be to the side of the magma block or to the opposite of it, like so. Facing either south or east. Now, next to our trapdoors, we'll place a block like this. And on top of it, another block, like so. Here on the back, we'll close up the drop chute, which is here, like so. And immediately above the trapdoors, we'll place another trapdoor. I like to use a different type of trapdoor to mark the fact that it serves a different purpose. These ones will serve to align the tridents on top of our trapdoors, killing trapdoors, perfectly. So let's pick 3 impaling 5 enchanted tridents. And throw them onto these trapdoors, top trapdoors. And then we need to open the trapdoors, and when the trident falls, it is perfectly aligned. Here. Once the tridents are in place, what we're going to do is use grindstones to replace the temporary blocks that we placed underneath the trapdoors. If this happens, just rethrow your tridents. As you can see, it is very easy to rethrow the tridents. The reason for the grindstone is the following. If you ever forget to turn off your TKs when you delog from the game, there are chances that they will be in a non-working state the next time you log in. Let's demonstrate that by temporarily wiring our TKs. Here you see our tridents are functional. And if I add water on top of the magma here, and drop a few creepers inside, they should die. Here, like so. But what can happen if you forget to turn off your TK before you log off of the game is that your tridents can end up in this position where they are not working anymore. As you can see, the creepers don't die anymore. So what you need to do in this situation is stop the Trident Killers, log off, and log back in. And normally your tridents will have magically jumped back onto the trapdoors and they will be ready to work again. This is called relog proof and was a concept that was pioneered by Prime on the Tristone Discord server. You can technically use chests or honey blocks or even anvils instead of the grindstone, but grindstones have been heavily tested over the years and are known to be reliable, so I would advise you to use them here. And basically this is it for our TK. So let's break these because we'll rewire the TKs properly later. So now that the TKs are done, we need to move on to item collection and AFK positioning. For that, we'll start lines in front of our packed ice here, leading towards the front of our packed ice here. So let's place blocks like so. Break this, this, and this, and add blocks here and around this side here in order to prevent the water from spilling out. And once this is done, we can place water source blocks here and here. And don't forget to close off the top so that the items don't escape. What you should have is water streams that join and converge to the center here. And extend one block towards your AFK. If everything is going fine, this is what you should have. So now remove this block here, replace it with packed ice with a button on top of it. Extend this for 8 blocks. And place another water stream here. This is the water stream that will carry the items and the XP towards the item collection system and towards the player, respectively. So close off the top. And here again, place packed ice with a button on top of it. And repeat the process twice. And this is the end result that you should have. You should have 3 straight water streams separated by buttons, like so. They should be 8 blocks long each. Once this is done, right next to where your last water stream stops, place another packed ice with a button on top of it. Then next to it, this time place soul sand, 1 single soul sand block. This is where we will have our XP elevator towards the AFK. Now here, above this soul sand block, create a bubble column. This bubble column should be exactly 25 blocks high. Here, on top of this column, the block here that is closest to your farm, here, so the block here in this direction, towards the platform, is your AFK. So mark it by making it a different color or a different type of block. This is your AFK. If everything went fine, it should normally be exactly 24 blocks from the closest block of your spawning platforms. So here, this block is 148 on the X coordinate. And this block here is 172 on the X coordinate. Exactly 24 blocks. And it should also be 21 blocks above it. So this falls on y equals 93. and this falls on y equals 114, or actually 92 and 113. Now that you have your AFK, go back down to the last 3 blocks of your last water stream here. Break these and replace them with 3 hoppers. 2 of your hoppers must be going into a double chest, and 1 security hopper must be going into this hopper in the middle. So here we're going to place chests, and this is your collection system, and extend it towards the bottom, making it as big as you need here. And notice that since there is only one type of items that we're going to farm here, which is gunpowder, we don't need to use item filters. Now that we have our AFK and our collection system done, the next step is to wire properly the TKs. And to do that, we're going to use sticky pistons, redstone blocks, and slime. And of course, repeaters and redstone dust. What we also need is a pressure plate here. So what we're going to do is place the pressure plate on the AFK spot. This is what will activate the TKs. Now extend 1 block in this direction, place a sticky piston facing downwards, attach 11 slime blocks to its head, and a redstone block. Normally you should have a 12 long column, like so. Now skip 1 block here, place another sticky piston, and enough slime blocks that you reach 2 blocks above this point here. Like so. Now what you need to do is start a redstone line that begins here and extends for 15 blocks. So here we have our 3 first blocks. After the 15th block, place a repeater. Then make another redstone line until you reach the point that we temporarily wired earlier in the video. Here, place a comparator in subtraction mode, like so, and run a wire from its front into its side, and replace this with a repeater. This here makes a 4 game tick clock that will be started every time the redstone line behind the repeater here is powered, like so. And normally, if you stand on top of the pressure plate of your AFK here, if you wire this like so, you should see that the redstone dust below is activated, which means that your TKs are working properly. The next step now is very simple but time consuming. Just make more spawning platforms. What you need to do is create 14 more platforms for a total of 15. Your last platform's trapdoors should end up right underneath the glass roof that you created at the start of this video. So let's immediately create those 14 platforms. And this should be the result. As you can see, the last platform's trapdoors are immediately underneath the temporary glass roof that we created at the beginning of the video. Now the farm is almost finished. All that's left to do is to make a real roof. So replace the glass roof with a solid block roof, replacing each block one by one so that your water source blocks don't freeze. Like so. Now verify that none of your water source blocks have frozen. Everything looks fine, and now you can fill in the inside of this square with the more solid blocks. Like so. Now extend your platform 7 blocks in each direction. Like so. Now go to each corner and fill up the gap diagonally. And this should be the result. Now pick slabs of your choice. Here we're going to use these ones. And add another layer to your roof. And the result should look like this. And this is it. Your creeper farm is done. Congratulations! You can safely go AFK and wait for the XP and the loot to be delivered. As stated in the introduction of the video, this simple version of the farm should yield around 46 stacks of gunpowder per hour. That is around 2950 items. That is of course with a looting 3 sword in hand. If the simple farm is all you were interested in, then you can stop watching now. Honestly, this is no slouch. The advanced version of the farm only adds 2 stacks per hour on average. So if you want to stop watching now, thank you for staying up to this point, and I hope to see you in another video soon. If you want to check out the advanced version, stay a little more. I will not go into as much details for the advanced version. It is basically the same thing, but with a different water layout and a different TK. So let's immediately check the water layout. Here is the layout. What you can immediately see is that it has 5 drop chutes instead of 1. The advantage of using 5 drop chutes versus 1 is that it shortens the time creepers spend in water, making their death swifter and opening their spot in the cap faster. In this design, the longest possible distance a creeper can spend in water is 8 blocks versus 16 for the simple design. As was the case in the simple design, the trapdoors go above the ice. And now instead of having 2, 2, 4, 6, 8, 6, 4, 2, 2, we have 2, 2, 4, 4, 5, 4, 4, 2, 2 on this side. And here we have 3, 5, 7, 7, 5, 3 like in the simple design. What we have now is also 2 sets of trapdoors and ice blocks added here, along with 1 water source block here and 1 here, so 1 on each side. The button waffle pattern and fence placements are also identical to the simple version. Now let's move on to the TK, or rather TKs, plural, because we are going to use 5 in this version, as you can see here. The TK design that we're going to use in this version, in the advanced version, was thought up by Mike Homer and is the fastest creeper TK that I know. Here is how it works. It is very directional, so be careful, and it can only be placed in 2 different ways, with a minecart to the southwest or to the northwest. Here we'll take the example of the minecart placed southwest. So take your pumpkin to verify directions. And we want the minecart to the southwest. So what you need to do is have the player face north. Place a set of 4 solid blocks of your choice. Any block will do. Let's use this grey concrete. Extending towards the northeast direction. So 2 in front of you, move to the right 1 block and place 2 more. Onto the block that lies immediately underneath the drop chute, so imagine your drop chute leads to this point here. On this block here, place an activator rail and make it face laterally, like so. Turn it on with a lever, and immediately to the right of it place a fence post. Now encase this in blocks, like so, and place a minecart on top of the activator rail. Then place 2 water source blocks, first on the above the activator rail here and on the fence post, waterlogging it. And immediately what you should see is that the minecart is moved to the left into the fence post. This is automatic. This happens automatically when the water is placed here. Now break the wall here to the left of the activator rail 1 block forward and replace it with a stair block of your choice. Like so. Then what you need to do is break the block that's right in front of your staircase and replace it with scaffolding, like so. Once you've replaced it with scaffolding, you can place a repeater on top of the scaffolding. The direction doesn't matter. It's just to allow the minecart to push mobs towards this point here, because otherwise it wouldn't, as minecarts can't eject mobs onto scaffolding without a repeater on top of it. And now you can waterlog the stair. What you should have as a result is something like this, with 3 water source blocks here that don't turn into a water source here, thanks to the scaffolding, and all converged into this point here. Now it's time to place the trapdoor that will serve as our killing device. This trapdoor must be positioned right above the end of the water stream, so above this block here. So what we need to do is place a temporary block here, like so. Then we need to place another temporary block on top of the fence post here. Leave a 2x1 gap where we have our activator rail and repeater. Then we can close this point off, leaving the chute open, and this here until we reach the chute. Now we need to place our trapdoor, as usual with the hinge either on the east or south side of the block. Here we can only use east, so let's place our trapdoor now, here. once the trapdoor is placed, we can replace the temporary block underneath it with a grindstone like we did for the simple version. Now above this trapdoor, to the west, place another trapdoor and open it. This is the trapdoor that will be used to align our trident, like so. Now all that's left to do is to wire the trapdoor to a 4 game tick comparator clock, like so. Open either this block or this block here, the one which is more convenient to you, to start your item and XP collection lane. Place a packed ice with a button on top of it. Extend this like so. Place a water source block. And your item and XP collection lane is done. You can start dropping creepers into the TK. And as you can see, it is extremely fast. This is the fastest creeper TK that I know as of March 2024. It works both against large quantities and small quantities of mobs. So now, just build 4 more of these. Build the item and XP collection system. And this is the result. Hold a looting 3 sword in your hand and just wait for the items and XP to come to you. As you can see, this version I made with a roof of tinted glass, but you could use, or you should, I think, you should use solid blocks instead. It does have more stable rates without using surface spawns. And like I said at the beginning of the video, this will make you around 48 stacks of gunpowder per hour on average in a frozen ocean or ice spikes biome. And this is it for today. As usual, world downloads are available in the description for you to play around and check out minute details. If you have any comments or questions, feel free to hit the comment section and I will do my best to reply. Thank you for watching. Goodbye.